Welcome to This Explainer. I gotta tell you, I am absolutely amazed by what we're unpacking today. We're diving deep into a piece of ancient wisdom from the Mahabharata, specifically Section 87 of the Sambhava Parva. And I promise you, by the end of our time together today, it is going to completely change how you view your everyday conversations. We're talking about a dialogue that's thousands of years old, yet literally urgently relevant to how we operate right now. Let's get into it.
So let's just be real for a second. Have you ever been pierced by the arrow of cruel words? Think about a time when someone said something to you that didn't just annoy you, but actually genuinely hurt. It stayed with you, right? Kind of rattled around in your brain for days. Well, today, we're analyzing an ancient text that proves human psychology really hasn't changed at all. We're going to see exactly how ancient leaders categorized the visceral pain of verbal conflict, and even more importantly, the strategic framework they used to defend against it.
All right, Section 1, the King in Heaven. Okay, let's dive into this scene because it is wild. Picture this. King Yayati is currently dwelling up in heaven, the home of the celestials. He's reached this incredible status where he's literally reverenced by the gods themselves. And while he's hanging out there, he has a conversation with Indra, the Lord of Earth. Indra hits him with this really pivotal question. He asks, "What didst thou say, O king, when thy son Puru took thy decrepitude on earth, and when thou gavest him thy kingdom?" I mean, talk about the ultimate family favor. His son Puru literally took on his father's old age, his decrepitude, and in exchange, Yayati handed over the kingdom. Indra essentially wants to know, what parting wisdom do you even give a kid who makes an unimaginable sacrifice like that? Moving right along to Section 2, dividing the ancient kingdom. Now, Yayati's answer is fascinating because it starts with physical geography, but then it rapidly transforms into this deep roadmap of human psychology. It's this brilliant cold to warm transition in the text. He explains that he gave Peru the central region, the land between the rivers Ganga and Yamuna. But that physical geography, as crucial as those rivers are, it's really just the staging ground. Yayati is actually handing Peru his true inheritance, which is a moral and psychological framework for how to rule himself, long before he can ever hope to rule the central region of the earth.
Which brings us to Section 3, the danger of anger. Yati immediately pivots to the ultimate threat to any ruler. Actually, scratch that. It's the ultimate threat to any human being, really, and that is anger. His logic here is structurally perfect. He sets up these really distinct binaries to establish a hierarchy of human behavior. He tells Puru that those without anger are ever superior to those under its sway. Those disposed to be forgiving are ever superior to the unforgiving. Just as man is superior to lower animals, among men, the learned are superior to the unlearned. He's laying down an ironclad rule. Emotional regulation is the absolute ultimate metric of superiority and leadership. Giving in to anger, that doesn't make you powerful. It literally degrades your standing. And this brings us to one of the most intellectually striking points in the entire text. Yayati tells his son, basically, if wronged, you shouldn't wrong in return. Why? Because, and this is a quote, "One's wrath, if disregarded, burneth one's own self, but he that regardeth it not taketh away all the virtues of him that exhibiteth it." Let's unpack that brilliant logic for a second. When someone attacks you with anger, they're expecting a reaction, right? But if you refuse to engage, if you completely disregard their wrath, that unspent toxic energy literally burns the angry person up from the inside out. By choosing not to retaliate, you don't just protect yourself, you effectively strip the angry aggressor of their virtues. Your calm restraint is the ultimate defensive countermeasure. Section 4, arrows of cruel speech.
And this brilliantly illustrates the next point. From the broad concept of anger, Yayati zooms right in on its most common, everyday weapon, speech. He warns Puru against uttering scorching, sinful words that torture others. He says that a person who pricks others as if with thorns by using hard and cruel words ever carrieth in his mouth the rakshasas. Now, rakshasas are demons. He is quite literally saying that when you harbor cruel speech, your mouth becomes a vessel for demons. It's this terrifying, incredibly visceral image that perfectly captures just how ugly and destructive verbal abuse truly is. You're not just saying bad words, you're hosting demonic energy in your very speech.
And the consequences of this demonic speech, they are incredibly tangible. First off, for the person actually speaking the cruel words, prosperity and luck fly away at his very sight. You literally repel success when you're toxic. But look at the victim. These arrows of cruel speech strike at the core of the body. Yayati notes that the man hurt by these words weepeth day and night. I mean, think about how relevant that is today. A cruel email from a boss, a really harsh text from a partner, it absolutely strikes at the core of your body and keeps you up all night. The ancients understood the psychological devastation of workplace and personal conflict completely. And that's exactly why the wise never ever fling these arrows at others. So, how do we survive in a world where people are just constantly flinging these arrows around? Well, Yayati gives his son a 3-step defensive strategy. Step 1, you must disregard the hard words of the wicked. You just have to let them bounce right off your armor. Step 2, you must ever keep the virtuous before thee as thy models. You need a crystal clear picture of what good behavior looks like to act as your anchor. And step 3, you have to use a retrospective eye to compare your own acts with the conduct of the wise. So you don't just react in the heat of the moment. You look back, analyze your behavior, and make sure your actions actually align with the wise models you've chosen. Honestly, this is an absolute masterclass in maintaining your mental peace.
Finally, Section 5, the highest form of worship. We've officially arrived at the climax of Yayati's advice. He shifts from the negative traits we've got to avoid to making the staggering claim about the positive actions we must proactively embrace, elevating basic social conduct to something divine. He tells Puru, there is nothing in the 3 worlds by which thou canst worship and adore the deities better than by kindness, friendship, charity, and sweet speeches unto all. Just let that sink in for a second. The King of Kings, who is currently dwelling in heaven alongside the gods, is telling his son that the absolute highest form of adoration and worship in the entire cosmos isn't some complex ancient ritual. It's simple, everyday social virtues, kindness, friendship, charity, which he beautifully defines as always giving but never begging, and sweet speeches. Treating your fellow human beings with decency is literally the highest spiritual act possible. So, the crucial point is captured right here in Yayati's final summary instruction to his son. Therefore, shouldest thou always utter words that soothe and not those that scorch. It is such a beautifully simple distillation of emotional intelligence. Every single interaction you have, you've got a choice. You can use your words to prick like thorns, to carry the rakshasas, to scorch the people around you, or you can use your words to soothe, which, as we just learned, is an act of divine worship. So, the question I really want to leave you with today is the exact same choice Puru had to make when he inherited the central region of the earth. Will the words you choose today soothe or scorch? When you close this out and go back to your emails, your group chats, your family conversations, remember Yayati's wisdom. Remember that true power, true superiority belongs to the one who regulates their anger, who ignores the wicked, and who actively chooses kindness. Thanks so much for discovering this ancient wisdom with me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.